Study summary points. 15. Agency and practice. Law of agency. When a principal delegates authority to an agent to act on the principal's behalf, an agency relationship is created. Fiduciary relationship. A fiduciary relationship is a relationship of trust and confidence between an agent and the principal. Failure to adequately tend to the duties and obligations in the relationship can result in legal consequences. General agents are empowered to perform a multitude of acts associated with one area of a principal's life, such as for the operation of a business. Real estate licensees are general agents of the employing broker. When a broker is hired by a property manager, when a broker is hired to be a property manager, the broker is a general agent of the property owner. The special agent is appointed for a specific purpose to do something such as to handle a single business transaction. A broker acts as that of a special agent when working to sell a property for a seller or to assist a buyer in purchasing a property. Arm's length transaction. In an arm's length transaction, each party is acting only to the benefit of themselves. It assumes that each person will strive to create the best deal for him or herself and that they are not responsible for whether the deal is equitable and fair to the other party. Dual agency applied. Florida legislature believes that it is impossible to fulfill fiduciary duties to two parties in the same transaction. Therefore, it is unlawful to act as a single agent for both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. This is called dual agency and it is not allowed. This applies to all licensees working under the same broker. Termination of agency. Ways to terminate an agency relationship include lapse of time, purpose achieved, or mutual agreement to terminate. The Brokerage Disclosure Act. When working as a transaction broker, no disclosure is actually required to be given. When working as either a single agent or a no brokerage capacity, the broker must provide written disclosure of agency duties. When transitioning from a single agent to a transaction broker, then a written disclosure must be provided and signed. Residential sale. The rules about agency disclosures apply only to residential sales. This means that if a broker is working in the capacity of a property manager, the disclosure does not need to be made. Disclosures do have to be made for residential sale as defined as being an improved residential property of 4 units or fewer, or the sale of unimproved residential property intended for the use of 4 units or fewer, or the sale of agricultural property of 10 acres or less. Exceptions to disclosure requirements. There are times that a broker is not required to make the disclosure about agency even in a residential sales transaction, and these situations include when the licensee knows that a single agent or transaction broker is already representing that buyer or seller, at a bona fide open house or model showing. At that point, they're representing the seller or homeowner and not the potential buyer walking in the door. In unanticipated casual encounters, when responding to general questions of advertised property, while communicating about real estate services being offered, and when selling new residential units and working for the owner-developer. The no brokerage relationship. A seller or a buyer can choose not to be represented. In the no brokerage relationship, the broker still has duties to the customer. Material facts. A material defect is any fact about what is wrong with the property that may have a significant and reasonable impact on the market value. Although buyers have an opportunity to have the property inspected, this duty to disclose is never relieved. Both the seller and the broker must disclose this information. Note that ignorance is not always bliss, as a broker may be held accountable for having should have known. Single agency. A single agent is a broker who represents as a fiduciary either the buyer or the seller, but not both in the same transaction. You can't represent both because that would create an illegal dual agency. Obedience. The licensee is to follow the instructions of the principal, unless the instructions are unlawful. Confidentiality. Throughout the course of a real estate transaction, the licensee will discover very personal information about the principal, which could directly hurt the principal's bargaining power if it was inadvertently revealed. The licensee is not allowed to share this information with anyone, except for the broker or the other subagents within the same brokerage, unless written permission is given to make the disclosure to others. Full disclosure. The broker is required to share all information that may work to the benefit of the principal. Present all offers. A single agent is obligated to present all offers and counteroffers in a timely manner unless the principal has previously directed the licensee otherwise in writing. Presumption of transaction brokerage. There is a presumption of transaction brokerage, meaning that it shall be assumed that all licensees are operating as a transaction broker unless a single agent or even a no brokerage relationship has been established in writing with the customer. Consent to transition. Once the single agent relationship has been formed, it may be changed to a transaction broker relationship at any time during the relationship between an agent and a principal, provided the agent gives the transition disclosure and the principal consents to the transition in writing and with a signature before a change in the relationship. Note, that's the first time that the actual signature was required. Designated sales associate. In a non-residential real estate transaction where the buyer and the seller each have assets of $1 million or more, the broker, at the request of the customers, may designate sales associates to act as single agents for the different customers in the same transaction. This concept, known as the designated sales associate, and is allowed per Florida statutes.